We are exploring Robert Greene's book, The Laws of Human Nature, which uncovers the hidden forces shaping the way people think, feel, and act, revealing timeless psychological truths that most of us overlook. The first law, the law of irrationality, shows that humans are rarely guided by reason. Emotions drive nearly every decision, often disguised as logic. Anger, envy, fear, and desire quietly influence thoughts and actions, and Greene emphasizes that the first step to mastery is recognizing these emotions in ourselves and pausing before reacting, tracing feelings back to their source to act with clarity rather than impulse. The law of narcissism explains that everyone carries a degree of self-absorption, a deep need to feel important and recognized. Some people become consumed by this, demanding attention and admiration, while others learn to transform it into empathy, noticing the needs and motivations of those around them and responding with understanding. Following this is the law of role-playing, which reminds us that social life is a theater where everyone wears a mask to fit expectations or protect themselves. By observing subtle inconsistencies between words and actions, tone and gesture, we can see the authentic motives behind the performance. The law of compulsive behavior highlights how early life experiences and emotional patterns repeat in adulthood, creating predictable routines in behavior and choice. Recognizing these loops allows us to predict reactions and subtly intervene without attempting drastic change. These laws together teach the fundamentals of human observation, noticing emotion before it directs action, understanding the influence of self-interest, reading social masks, and identifying recurring patterns. By practicing awareness, empathy, and careful observation, we gain a first layer of insight into human nature, seeing the hidden forces that guide behavior and beginning to respond with strategy rather than blind reaction. The law of covetousness shows that desire is a driving force in human behavior, often hidden beneath polite words or rational explanations. People are rarely satisfied and constantly compare themselves to others, longing for what they do not have, whether it is power, status, love, or recognition. By observing these unspoken cravings, we can anticipate choices and understand patterns that might otherwise seem random. The law of short-sightedness highlights how humans tend to focus on immediate reward and pleasure while overlooking long-term consequences. The excitement of the present can blind people to risks and costs that will appear later, and noticing this tendency allows us to act strategically where others act impulsively. The law of defensiveness reveals that when people feel attacked, criticized, or misunderstood, they instinctively protect themselves instead of responding with reason. Approaching others in ways that reduce resistance, listening carefully, and framing ideas gently can influence more effectively than confrontation. The law of generational myopia explains how each person's thinking is shaped by the values, habits, and blind spots of the era they grew up in, often creating predictable limitations when interacting with other generations. Recognizing these patterns helps anticipate reactions, bridge understanding, and guide interactions smoothly. Together, these laws show that desire, short-sighted thinking, defensiveness, and generational conditioning are forces that shape choices, social behavior, and decision-making. By observing these dynamics, we can predict tendencies, respond with insight rather than impulse, and navigate relationships and social situations with clarity, awareness, and subtle influence. The law of self-sabotage shows how people unconsciously undermine their own success by repeating destructive patterns, often driven by fear, insecurity, or unresolved past experiences. These habits shape behavior far more than conscious intention, and recognizing them allows us to understand why certain choices keep recurring despite better judgment. The law of repression explains that emotions pushed aside never disappear. They resurface subtly, influencing decisions, relationships, and reactions without awareness. By observing these hidden feelings in ourselves and others, we gain insight into motivations that are otherwise invisible. The law of envy reveals how envy is a constant but often disguised force, making people resentful of those who have what they lack and sometimes provoking harmful or irrational actions. Understanding envy allows us to anticipate rivalry, manage tension, and avoid becoming a target. The law of grandiosity highlights how success and achievement can inflate ego, making people overconfident, blind to risk, and prone to misjudgment. The law of gender rigidity demonstrates that traits traditionally associated with masculinity and femininity influence behavior far beyond stereotypes, shaping perception, approach, and reaction in subtle and complex ways. Together, these laws reveal how hidden fears, repressed emotions, envy, inflated self-perception, and ingrained gender tendencies shape choices, interactions, and personal trajectories. By studying self-sabotage, repression, envy, grandiosity, and gender influences, we gain the ability to navigate relationships strategically, act with empathy, and respond deliberately rather than react impulsively, moving through life with a clearer understanding of human nature and the forces that drive behavior. The law of aimlessness shows that without clear purpose, people drift, letting circumstances, emotions, or others' expectations dictate their path, and understanding this helps explain why some struggle to make progress despite talent or opportunity. The law of conformity reveals how people instinctively follow the crowd, seeking approval and safety in numbers, which often suppresses originality and critical thinking. Recognizing when others are influenced by social pressure allows us to act independently and guide them thoughtfully. The law of fickleness highlights how loyalties, opinions, and moods shift easily, reminding us that stability is rare and relationships require careful attention, observation, and patience. The law of aggression shows that unchecked frustration, resentment, or competition can drive destructive behavior, often without awareness of long-term consequences, and understanding this allows us to anticipate conflict and respond strategically. Finally, the law of generational cycles demonstrates how history repeats in patterns, offering insight into recurring social, political, and personal behaviors. By integrating these insights with the earlier laws, we gain a complete framework for reading motives, predicting behavior, and navigating relationships and society with clarity and precision. Mastery comes not from controlling others, but from careful observation, deliberate action, and aligning choices with awareness and empathy. When we combine self-knowledge with insight into the forces shaping those around us, we move through life with confidence, understanding, and influence, better equipped to handle the complexities of human behavior and make decisions that reflect both wisdom and compassion, leaving us with a deeper awareness of ourselves and the world we live in.